I am here for Addictive Magazine with Mike from House of Harm. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. Are you excited for tour to get started?
I am extremely excited. We've been rehearsing and kind of just doing all the the unfun things about getting ready for a tour and getting all our merch and stuff together. So it's a lot of planning, but I can't wait to just hit the road. I'm really excited.
How long have you been planning it for?
I think they started maybe 6, 7 months ago or something like that.
Wow, pretty quick. It's crazy how quick things can go.
I to be honest, we're kind of a little bit removed from the booking entire tours ourselves. Those days are kind of over. So it kind of just got updates along the way, which is nice.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think it's been in the works for a while. I mean, obviously it's not easy to put
no,
something like this together. So
yeah, absolutely. A lot of stuff in the back end, a lot of moving parts.
exactly, yeah.
First question, how did you and the band meet each other? I know it started out with you and Cooper, and then Tyler kind of came in. How did that all come together?
It was mainly just like hanging out in Boston. I mean, it's a pretty small city, so if you're into kind of music like this, you kind of become friends or enemies pretty quickly. But yeah, we just were kind of, in our early 20s, living in Boston and just made it the band, started just obviously for fun. And then we were all in other bands doing other things. And when those kind of ended, we decided that we're just going to focus on this. Um, Tyler joined pretty early on, obviously relative to now. But yeah, I think we released like a demo and an EP. Tyler came on board right before we released our first EP, and then I think about a year or so later, we released our first record. So
Nice. Did you have like another person that was kind of writing his parts for it, or did he come in and write it after things have already started going?
we kind of all write all the parts. So
Okay.
we don't really have like assigned roles. I mean, obviously when we play live, we have
Yeah.
defined roles of what we do on stage. But for how the band operates, we usually, to be honest, we're usually doing the things that we're not doing on stage when we're writing. So we all kind of switch up the instruments and stuff. But yeah, we mainly just we all pretty much play everything, and then we just play whatever we feel should the song deserves. So if whatever that might be.
Okay, awesome. It's nice that everyone's part of the creative process. Sometimes there's some bands that they're like completely individual and they don't really come together as much. So it's nice you guys can all be a cohesive part in that.
Yeah, and I think it'd be weird if like we had like, all right, we all did one thing. I think it'd be kind of weird for how the way we operate to like writing a song, then making the song have those parts. Like, all right, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? We all just, I mean, the song could be, a tambourine and a maraca and whatever. If it's a good idea, we
Yeah.
don't feel the need to kind of like have our own specific thing that we do. We just kind of serve the song. So it works out pretty well. It's freeing, we don't have to feel the need to fit into.
A box.
Yeah, exactly.
If your band was a physical place, what would it look like?
That's a good question. It would probably look like I hope like um a a beach at sunset at the end of summer, um through the lens of I don't know, an old camera or something. I don't know.
That's cool. Yeah. I like the sound of that. I love old cameras.
Yeah, we try to kind of capture like I don't know, a certain level of nostalgia in the sound, which is
Yes.
obviously this kind of you can't really describe nostalgia or whatever, but yeah, I try to just make things like just make the song sound like they're reminiscent or something. But
Okay.
a lot of them anyway, not all of them, but
Yeah, it kind of reminds like the way I kind of think of it is in like a Stranger Things episode, I think your music would be like perfect in that, like really 80s old, like grungy, like you're about to fight Vecna kind
yeah.
of thing. It's like I would replace Up the Hill by Kate Bush with one of your songs. And if you could choose one of your songs to be in that episode, what would it be?
Um, I would say Before the Line, the opening track on our last record.
Why do you Think that. Why do you choose that song?
I don't really know. If I were to think about it, I'd probably end up giving like a an answer that's maybe not true to why I thought it in the first place. I don't. I just think it would fit. I don't know. I'm not too sure.
Okay.
It seems like it sounds like it would fit.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But if I were to start thinking about what the song's about or the meaning of the song, I'd
Mhm.
probably end up being like, actually, that's probably a bad idea for it to be in there. But I don't know. Right now, I would say Before the Line.
Okay, cool. When you have a day off during tour, what would you typically like to do, even just by yourself or as a band cohesively?
Um, Maybe it sounds dumb, but probably just honestly just relax because it can be a lot. Uh, Mainly just the travel. You wake up and you got to drive 5-6 hours, and then you do that over and over again. So when you have a day off, it's kind of just like really just relaxing. We don't do too much stuff when we're out on the road in terms of like fun kind of
Yeah.
activities. We'll try to hit up some guitar shops or some music shops, and then we'll hit up some restaurants or something we want to go to. But for like tour like this, we'll probably pick like 2 or 3 places, and if we make at least one of them, we'd be happy. So to be honest, it's a lot of time rushing to get there, and then a lot of time just waiting for the show. So where we can fit stuff in is we're happy to do it, but also on the days off, we're kind of just relaxing, just turning our mind off for a bit.
Nice.
I wish I had a better answer, like we
Yeah. Go out on the town,
yeah,
but
yeah, or
have
write poetry or something in a
yeah.
graveyard. But
Okay, awesome. And on the same scheme of things for touring, it can be tough and unpredictable. What's a story from the road that captures the essence of being a small independent band? Maybe a moment of unexpected kindness or a hilarious mishap or something that's particularly chaotic.
we've been in a lot of chaotic situations. I mean, we've been lucky where we had nothing that bad has gone wrong in terms of like van breaking down or getting robbed or things like that. I don't want to jinx it, but
Knock on wood.
no, so I'm trying to think of, like, just to be honest, the normal chaos of a good show is kind of um I don't know, that's a lot in itself. So if everything goes well, it's pretty chaotic and I don't know, disorienting. But I think just for me, I just love talking to the fans, and they all have individual stories about, like, this, like, it's me and my partner play this song for whatever, or they like hearing, you know, the individual kind of relationships that people have with the songs that was, you know, seeing the songs where they end up in people's lives is really crazy.
Yeah.
It's completely unrelated to me and, and the band. It's more like their own thing. And I think that part is really cool and kind of mind blowing. So,
I read that the band cohesively likes The Cure, kind of like an inspiration to your band. But what are other artists that you like to listen to?
we all have pretty different tastes in music, and so I can't speak for Cooper and Tyler, but I think for me, I don't know. I go through phases like anyone else. Like, I've been listening to a lot of Interpol lately. Um, some newer bands too, like, Deeper, the drums and Beach Fossils and things like that. I like a lot of like the early Capture Tracks bands,
Okay.
Dive and stuff. Um, and then it's kind of, I like discovering kind of really like unknown type of, even if it's like one song where you don't even know who the band was and there's like nothing about them online, and just kind of having like a piece of audio. I think that's stuff is really that interests me now, because I'm just like, I feel like I'm obviously overexposed to music, and our existence is talking to other bands and stuff. So I like the idea of like hearing a piece of music that's like almost not, like, you don't even know if it was a real band or something like that. Um, but yeah, I would say, I don't know if that answered the question good, but um,
I did have like a second part to that of like an artist that you like to listen to that's not super widely known that you think the fans should listen to or check out.
um, I would probably say maybe Still Ruins. They're like up and coming from San Francisco.
Okay.
Um, they're great. Um, they're, like I said, I think they haven't released a debut yet, but I think our fans would like them. There's a lot of crossover. So
Okay, awesome. If you could create a one-day festival, who would you pick to play?
Like any festival, like or us headlining or something.
It doesn't have it just any type of music festival. It could be anything because I've gone to actually went to like a couple of festivals. Do you know what Boots and Hearts is?
I don't know.
Okay, so it's a country music fest here where close to by where I live, but they don't just have country. It was crazy. This I did photos for it this year. They had Daughtry there, which is insane. They're not country whatsoever. Last year they had Nickelback. So it literally and doesn't have to be one set genre. It could just be any genre. Just maybe let's say usually one day fest could be like 10 bands. So pick like up to 10 bands that you think should play. You could be one of them as well.
All
But
right, we'll play and do
okay.
a DJ set. The Cure, the Ravenettes, Interpol. I don't know. I'm thinking about what it would look like too much. Brian Jonestown Massacre, and I'll pick one more. Mm, I don't know. Let me get back to you on the last one. It'll come to me later on.
Oh, that's okay. Um, being from Boston, do you or any of the bandmates believe in like witches, supernatural, paranormal, any of that kind of stuff?
I'm sure a bit. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I didn't know if that was kind of like, oh, it's kind of overrated being from that area that everyone
No,
has to believe in that. I just didn't know. I don't like fully believe in it. I think it's cool. Halloween's my favorite holiday. So I definitely like look into it, but I'm not like super with crystals and all that type of thing. I'm not really superstitious or anything, but I didn't know if maybe you guys did.
I keep some healing stones and stuff like that around, but I don't like live and die by it. But I definitely I vibe with it, and I think and being from New England too, we kind of take it. I'm not sure if we take it for granted, but the homes we live in and stuff, and like even my first Boston apartment, they're like built to like 16 1700s 1800s, so it's not a lot of the country has history like that. So it's like what you said about the whole ghosts and stuff. It's like we're living in homes that were it's like however many generations ago versus going to somewhere like like Las Vegas or something where it's all like brand new. You know what I mean? They don't have that kind of history of like there wasn't that many lives living in the places that they lived before. Whereas us, it's everything has like a history and
Really interesting.
and a dark history too in Massachusetts. So it's kind of weird. You're like walking on questionable ground, I guess. But
Mhm.
it's cool.
Awesome. What is the most unexpected place that you found inspiration for a song? And how did the idea evolve from like a small spark into the finished track?
Um, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's easier for me if I were to think about it. If I were to think about it, I could probably put something together. But I kind of like compile a lot of different emotions or situations and then kind of like put it into one thing where I grab from um, different things that happened or the way I feel about different things. And I feel like it's like I know when I got it, but I'm not too sure what I'm reaching for when I'm in the process. So I'm not too sure. Like sometimes it's hard for me to even to think about like like it'd be really hard for me to like pick one thing, like one situation, then write a song about it. I would be like I'd probably just stop after like 5 minutes,
Mhm,
because I don't know, but maybe I mean just like heartbreak and things like that. I feel like I kind of write about general stuff that anyone can relate to, but it's um, sometimes the subject matter is pretty dark, but I don't try to be too obvious about it. So
yeah.
it's not like I feel weird sometimes too, and like I'm not trying to be overly coy or anything, but I try not to like explain too much what the songs are about because I feel like sometimes that's almost like informing the listener like what it's about,
Yeah.
and I
You're
really like I like how people can kind of have their own experiences with it, and I don't want to like taint that or ruin that experience for them. But I would say I don't think it's that surprising, but yeah, I think a lot of the songs are just really just like heartbreaking type of stuff.
mhm, okay.
Welcome that.
Creating an album is a long process from writing to recording. Is there a moment from making one of your albums that you'll never forget? Maybe a breakthrough in the studio or a challenge that you had to overcome together as a band or just yourself?
Oh yeah, on our last record, Playground, was we wrote a lot of songs for it, so there's a lot of experience there. But it was almost like there were times where we basically had, say, half the record done, and then we would write another 5, 10 songs or whatever it was, and just be like, oh, that's not that good. And we just keep at it, keep writing. And
Mhm.
then we've had a few experiences where it was like we were going on these kind of like retreats where we would like go and stay like in the suburbs for a few days and just like lock ourselves away just to get away from the distractions of Boston and stuff, and
Yeah.
just write. And then I think when we there was like one night we wrote like Rose Glass, To Last, and it's another big one, all like consecutively in like one night. And then we were like, that, all right, now we got a record, you know. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of those moments too where we'd kind of like pick up the songs a little bit, where we knew we had whether a good chorus or a good bridge or whatever, and then we'd have all like 10 different alternate versions, and then when you finally clicks, it's like, ah, that's it. So there's a few of those moments with like Before the Line. I remember specifically like when that chorus came together, when we were in the suburbs and we made Rose Glass and then To Last like right in one go. That was really kind of mind blowing for us. I remember when you're making them, like when you're on like a recording session, it's kind of, once you're on to the next song, like you can't remember what the song you made before sounds like, because your mind is like on the next thing.
Yeah.
So it's like almost like when you listen back to it like the next morning or late that night, it's like you completely forget what the sounds like. You see, obviously you bounced it out and you can see what it was called. Then when you listen back, it's like you have really like holy shit kind of moments. It's it's kind of amazing. It literally feels like magic sometimes when you listen back. But yeah.
Do you in like those moments where you're in the studio, do you ever have any like last minute changes where you're like listening to it while you're playing it through and then you realize that you want to change it up? Maybe you wanted to add a different sound to it, you wanted to change the key or something like that?
Yeah, we do we do that a lot. Probably not to our disadvantage, maybe. But yeah, we'll like swap out files, like even like to the mastering stage, so like right towards the end. But I think it comes down to the way we write is highly layered and stuff, and we're kind of evolved the song. When the song is finally done, we've worked on it, you know, 30 plus different times, going into it and changing stuff and trying to figure out what the song is. And then when you go to record it properly, it's essentially you're recording it the right way,
Mhm.
getting rid of stuff that doesn't need to be there, and kind of getting a proper mix. And you're kind of just making compromises, to make it sound, whether it's cohesive with the other tracks or sound good to be played on, like the radio or something, where in terms of like, volume, and the way like sometimes you make a demo and it's really lo-fi, and that's kind of the magic of it. And then you want it to fit in, you picture it sounding, like a proper high quality studio recording, but then when you get there, it's like, it's not quite right. We think we killed the vibe. So you're kind of just chasing the initial kind of excitement and spark
Yeah.
with doing that. So it's basically when we're recording while we write, we're recording. So we essentially record it, and then we say, all right, let's record it for real. And a lot of problems happen when you're recording it for real. And not problems, I mean, in terms of like, we have problems while recording it. It just doesn't, you kind of lose some aspects. So you have to kind of go back and figure out what we lost, and then be okay with making compromises, whether it's we got to shorten the song, we have to take this instrument out, even though it sounds really cool, it's ruining, the other instruments that are happening that are more important. So we're kind of making those changes, honestly, right to the end, which can be really difficult, but you have to kind of just take a step back and um, just do what's appropriate for the song.
Are you mainly writing lyrics, or are Tyler Cooper writing any lyrics at all, or are they mainly just how the song is written itself, like the track?
I'll do like when we're doing like the demo, I'll like do like a scratch vocal just off the top of my head, and I kind of retain like a lot of the original scratch, kind of like right off the top of the head kind of words, and then try to work them from there, because it's, to me, that's like the most kind of revealing. You know what I mean? Where you're not overthinking it, you're just like singing what kind of the intent of the song, I guess, and then I'll kind of figure out, have it obviously make sense. And then when we're recording, for real, is like when I'll have like kind of like the final touched up kind of lyrics. And then if we're recording something, they'll they'll be like, hey, how about you try this or whatever, but it's more for like the way it sounds, you know what I mean? We try to just, um, I'll write everything out, and I usually have extra. I mean, I have tons of extra. It's like, it doesn't really matter how many lines, like say the song is, however 4 minutes long, I can have double the amount of lyrics. It's not really about the lines. It's about like the line, the one line, so we kind of, from a production standpoint, when we're recording it, we'll try to highlight that and change it just for the phonetics of how it sounds. Sometimes you write something down, you think it's going to sound one way, but it just sounds kind of tongue twisted or something. So we'll change some stuff like that just on the production side when we're recording. But for the most part, I take care of all that stuff. So.
Every band has that gig that went completely wrong or completely right. Is there a performance? Any performance that you can think of, could be from the beginning when you were first starting out or recent, that stands out in your memory?
Like that things went wrong?
It had like completely right or completely wrong. It's up to you, or you could do both if there's one of each type of memory that you could think of from on the room.
I mean, we've had obviously sporadic things happen on stage where it's like you kind of do something unexpected or whatever, and it works out really well, which can be fun. I can't think of a specific example, but that does happen from time to time, which is cool. We've had a few shows, obviously any band, things can equipment can fail and things like that. And it all kind of goes wrong, especially when you're, obviously we were running like old kind of drum machine samples and stuff and like old synthesizer sounds. So they can be temperamental. But we've tried to fix those things over time. It's kind of always evolving because we have had shows where things crash out, or the sound, we get to the venue and the sound system is just shit, and it's like, what the fuck are we gonna do with this? And you kind of just power through it, to be honest. And I think I can't think of anything where it's went really bad, but we've had some, I wouldn't say disastrous, but we've had some crashes on stage, which sucks. But I feel like it's all about how you kind of recover from it too. I feel like if you're like, take yourself too seriously on stage, and then you're just like, it makes it almost worse. If you can kind of play it off and keep it moving, the crowd, I think, appreciates that, and they forget about it right after too. You know what I mean? If like the whole, our whole like drum machine playback system crashes, and it's, and we're all like pouting on stage and like walk off and be all dramatic, they're gonna be like, fuck those guys. You know what I mean? But we'll just kind of power through and make light of it and just keep it going. So I think in older bands that I've been in, I've had some bad situations on stage. So I think I learned my lesson before this band, luckily, where we can kind of prepare the best to avoid those type of things and also recover pretty quickly. So
yeah, the Boots and Hearts Festival I did this summer, and there was actually one of the headliners, the power went out completely during the last half of his last song, like right at the end of the night. And it like the crowd actually came out and helped finish the song along with him, which was really that's exactly it. Yeah,
that's amazing. That's the type of shit that people remember way more than that. Like, yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it went pretty viral. I wasn't there because usually if you're not working for the band, you get the first 3 songs. So I was like already gone, and we could hear it going on. We heard the power go out. We heard him stop singing, and then we just heard the crowd like just screaming the lyrics back to him. But it was pretty surreal.
Yeah, we had in LA once, we had our synth system crashed out because it got like unplugged, and it took a while to reboot. So basically our whole system just like mid-song just like crashed. And then so Tyler was like running logistics, and he's like, all right, I got it, it's gonna take a minute. So then Cooper and I just started doing like a impromptu version of Catch, which wasn't on the set list. It's like a slower kind of just singing guitar version, and people were singing along, and it was really fun. And by the time it was over, we were back and going. So that would be my answer. Yeah, when that happened, but we made the most of it. And I remember that moment now, where if that didn't happen, I wouldn't remember. And then maybe people feel the same way. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Your lyrics often have a poetic and introspective quality. Is there a specific lyric or song that holds a deep personal story for one of you? And maybe sharing the experience that event stemmed from?
Yeah, I mean, all of them do, of course. I mean, sometimes the vibe of the song is really just kind of like maybe like an attitude type of song, or maybe like a more guarded type of like stance, I guess, from the vocals point of view. But something like Two Kinds on the last record is really special for me. I wouldn't want to get into too much what it's about. I don't want for people to, I don't want to ruin their day. But uh, but yeah, I mean, I would say probably like most special one for me on the last record is probably Two Kinds, and Before the Line as well, the opening track, and then Two Kinds. But they all have special kind of moments and stuff, of course. But if I were to say like the deepest ones, it'd be like Two Kinds. But it's really just kind of stemming from probably not bad experiences, so not always kind of happy to relive and sing them, but the song becomes something else besides that. So that's, it's fine. I can still play it and stuff, but I'd say Two Kinds is the most special one.
Okay. Do you think has any fans come up to you saying any of your songs that they've dealt with something similar and they've been able to heal, or at least be able to like come to terms with what they went through?
Oh yeah.
Is there any song specifically that you can remember that happened?
I think it was for Control. So the last New York show, I was talking to someone about it. No, I didn't really go into too much detail about whatever, but yeah, we get that a lot. And luckily too, we also get the kind of say more so than kind of the trauma type of stuff. We get a lot of like relationship, like, oh, this is our song, like when they started dating or whatever, and now we're getting married type of thing, which is really cool too. So it's more like, it's kind of twisting, it's taking my pain and making it into something nice, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I've heard both sides of it, and it's always, it's great to hear,
Mm-hmm. Have you ever thought about writing a song about an event that didn't have to do with you? Because I know, like, even the song that specifically I could think about is Billy Talent. Like, they sang a song that didn't have to do with them. It had to do with that, like Devil in Midnight Mass. Had nothing to do with them. I know not all of their songs are like that, but is there like an event that you have maybe witnessed or heard about on the news that maybe you would write a song about?
I've definitely thought about it, because I know, like, even like Robert Smith talks about like writing from different perspectives.
Yeah.
I don't have any songs like that, not yet anyway. But I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But I don't think I've ever seen anything that's like that, like kind of moving, that I'm like, oh, I want to write from that the perspective of that person. It just hasn't quite happened yet. But I think that's really cool though.
All right. You've been described as a band that's part of the modern dark wave revival. How did you first discover the sounds that you were looking to make music as? Obviously, like more the 80s darker vibe. Is there like a memorable early experience that you really fell in love with that type of music?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up like traveling to see The Cure, so like my whole childhood was like, I mean, doing that. So obviously The Cure's, has a huge influence on just my natural kind of like what I think a guitar should sound like, or my natural, like my instincts of how I write songs. So it's like I feel like they've obviously informed all of us, but yeah, I think like and then from there, like back in 2004, The Cure did it's called the Curiosa Festivals, and they brought out Interpol and Mogwai, the Rapture and bands like that, and that was like kind of like the original post-punk revival, like early 2000s, like New York City scene. So all those bands were super inspiring, because they were, when I was like 14 years old or whatever, they were like much, obviously they weren't my age, but they were much closer to me, and I could that was the one time I could see myself doing that. It was a much closer than to me when I was a kid. It's like Robert Smith is Robert Smith, so that's like almost, it's untouchable. But then traveling around and then seeing like Interpol and Mogwai, it was like, oh, I could do that. You know what I mean? So that was kind of like it was really inspiring for me. But yeah, I'd say those like early 2000s post-punk revival bands, like Crystal Castles and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then it kind of evolved into more like darker shit, like obviously like back then it was kind of, being a kid, it was hard to, like, underground music wasn't very accessible, obviously. It wasn't like we had, Spotify and stuff, and we didn't have YouTube yet. So it wasn't like you could instantly find like post-punk and dark bands. It was kind of like somehow navigating through MySpace or whatever. It was
Whatever.
Exactly. It was hard to find if you didn't know what you were looking for, So like I would say since like the last 10 years, I've discovered so much shit, obviously, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I usually go and I just go into like my daily, not the daily mix, but it was it was like the
Yeah.
weekly mix of all of like it does. Most of the time it's people I've already listened to, but sometimes it's songs that I didn't know even were released by some of my favorite bands, and I found some new songs that it's like the Discover Weekly, and I'm always finding new. That's actually how I found you guys.
Oh,
Was
cool.
the Discover Weekly a couple years ago. It was pretty. I wasn't even looking. I was just going through them all, and I found that. And I don't even remember what song that it was. That was the first one I heard, but I really loved it.
Yeah, it's I feel the same way. It's kind of it's almost mind blowing, how much great music is being made like every single day. It's crazy. So I think maybe when I was younger, it was like not having that, and the search to like want to hear that was probably hugely influential on me wanting to become a musician. Because it wasn't like I didn't know there was bands that inspired me, but they were still like weren't quite what I was trying to do, or I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I just didn't have access to um, the music I have access to now. I just didn't know, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, it was just like the spark of those original bands, and also not having, not hearing what I wanted to hear. So, kind of doing it yourself,
Mhm. If you could go back in time and meet one musician that has passed, who would it be?
Ian Curtis,
Why?
because I think he's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think that's all the questions that I have for you. Is there any questions that you have for me?
Are you coming to the show?
Yeah, I am going to be doing photos for you guys.
Fantastic.
Yes, I'm very excited for that. Yeah, originally I was for Social Order is who I was originally emailing for, and Joe was like, "Well, is there I have another band? Would you be willing to do photos for them too?" I was like, "Okay, who it is?" And he said, "You guys." I was like, "Absolutely." And I didn't even know that you guys were going on tour either, so it was really cool.
Awesome. Yeah. No, we can't wait. It should be a great show.
Yes.
It's
So
our second show of the tour, so we'll be
I saw that. It's crazy. Why are you guys starting in Canada over the US?
well, it's Montreal's a pretty quick drive for us. It's only like 6 hours or so.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's pretty close by. And it just makes sense with the routing. And then we're ending with Boston like later on down the line. So it's gonna be like kind of like the end of the year type of tour.
Yeah, that's what most
End of the year type of show, rather, sorry.
yeah, I
But
see a lot of bands doing that. They either start in their hometown or they end in their hometown.
yeah.
So you never really know how that's going to go. So it's pretty interesting because I
It's
don't think.
gonna
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's sometimes too, it's like if when you're playing after you're on the road for a while, then like the last show is like at home, it kind of like can be a bummer in a way because you're like, fuck, I just want to get home because it's like you're there, but you're not quite there. You like your brain thinks that you're home, but you really have like still have a job to do, It's like it's trickery. But yeah, I think ours is a little bit we have I think we're home for like a week and then we have the show at Bright Music Hall. But yeah.
It's pretty awesome. Very excited. A couple weeks away. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks so much for spending the time with me.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. How come the other two were they just busy doing other stuff?
Yeah, we're all pretty much like on like we have our own kind of individual stuff that we take care of for the tour. So like the last 2 weeks is like just checking everything, making sure all the stuff is done. I've been working on getting all our merch together, and Tyler's been doing like all the live set stuff and just kind of going over everything so we're prepared. So I figured I'd handle this one.
How many songs are going to be on the set list?
We were practicing the other day.
In that list for fans, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, that it's we're playing for a good hour or more, but I think we have.
Yeah. No
we
openers that I saw. The openers are going to be in the US, not in Canada, right? So it's just going to be you guys?
No, I think there's another. I think this band. Yeah, there's an opener. I have to check, to be honest. I usually wait for like the week before, then I go through and like kind of listen because a lot of it is just like, just like, all right, here's the lineup and stuff like that. But I'll go through next week and kind of listen to everyone. But yeah, I believe there's openers.
Okay, cool. Do you guys choose them yourselves usually, or is it kind of just like other bands will come to you looking to go on tour with you?
Yeah, when we can, we kind of like if there's a band from an area or a city specifically that we want to play with, we'll say from the beginning. But a lot of the times, to be honest, the deals are just the promoter picks the local support. It's like they give us an offer and then they handle that. But if we want something, we'll make it happen. Or they'll give us an option, say which one of these,
Yeah.
So
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much for spending the time with me. It was really fun.
yeah, of course. I'll see you in 2 weeks and a couple days or something.
Yep, 22nd.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
All right. Take care. See you soon.
Bye.